Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am Jen Sugarmeyer, your host of Mindset in the Morning, and we are here live 5 days a week at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. But because it's YouTube, you can tune in whenever you would like. And there is this holy trinity of health, and that is mind, body, soul. And we know we need to exercise our bodies, and we know we need to meditate and do things for our soul. But what are we doing for our mind? And that's what Mindset in the Morning is all about, so that we can start our day off on the right foot. And just like every player that is out there on the field, if it's football, soccer, basketball, doesn't matter. There's a coach coaching them how to have a winning game. And the truth is sometimes you're not always actually winning the game, but you still want to have a good attitude about it. And that's what the coach is there to help. And so this is getting you ready for the game of life. We're all playing the game of life. And when we know what to anticipate, what to expect, even how to handle some of those losses or the we didn't win times, that's when you're going to be able to step into your power and really take your level of happiness to the next level. We all want to have a good life, and we all can have a good life, and it starts with the 6 inches right here. So today we're going to be talking about gratitude, because it's the week of Thanksgiving, and if you're here in the United States, that's what it's centered around, is what we're thankful for, what we're grateful for. So we're going to talk about gratitude this week, and it's a topic that we can continue to talk over and over and over about, because they say make gratitude your attitude. And there's something about gratitude that takes any situation and turns it around. So effectively, we're finding, what is it that we're grateful for? And what doesn't happen is we don't have positive and negative that happen in the same breath. You can flip-flop between the two. But if you start to focus on what you're grateful for, then what you're not grateful for, some of these things that are really irritating you, they don't play in the same space. So you're putting them off to the side, and you're starting to focus your time and your energy and your attention into, wow, what's what makes me happy? Wow, why am I grateful for that? And we start to go down this rabbit hole of positivity, which is where we want to be, because that is where we're going to find the peace and the happiness and the clarity and the flow and the confidence. These are all positive emotions. When you're playing in the negative space, this is what we call suffering, or I call suffering, fear, frustration, anger, resentment, anxiety. And when you start to focus on the negative, because we know where your thoughts go, your energy flows. So when you start to focus in those areas, then your life is more heavy and weighed down, and you're bringing things with you, that dead weight, it just comes with you. So if you focus your attention to the negative, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get more negative. But if you focus your attention to the positive, the things that you're grateful for, looking for the lessons and the silver linings and all the good things that we talk about here on the show, then what you'll find is that, well, you have more positive energy around you. There's a phenomenon that also happens, and then I'm going to get back on topic. But when you start to rid yourself of all of the negativity, you will start to become more sensitive to it. You'll start to notice when other people are being negative. And it may be in a situation that you used to engage in. It might not have ever phased you before. And now all of a sudden you've worked to get rid of this negativity, to focus on the positive things like gratitude and lessons, and the good in people versus the bad in people. You may very well have chosen to focus on some of those things, not even realizing that it was a choice that you had. You just did it. It was the people you hung around with. It was just what came into your mind as you were driving down the road. It just was a natural thing. But when you start to make the decisions to change and get rid of that negativity, you will find that this space of positivity, you will feel when negativity starts creeping up. You will feel it. It will feel heavy. It will be polarizing. You'll say, ooh, no, I don't even want to go there. So you'll start to feel that as you make the shift. So, such a beautiful feeling to experience. It's different because it could be with people that you used to run around with, and now all of a sudden they're throwing shade in your positivity garden, and you're like, what the heck? And so now you've got to deal with that situation. But it is the most incredible when we can start to focus on the positive. So we know that gratitude is, what are you thankful for? And I love the example of when I was a kid, and we would pray at the dinner table, and I would open my eyes and I'd look around and I'd say, I'm grateful for the spoon and the fork and my mom and my dad and the plate and the food. And we would look at all of the things and just say that that's what I was grateful for. I don't know that all of my prayers were that like that, but certainly I remember some of them, and just looking around and saying, these are all the things that I'm grateful for. And that is absolutely one approach. If you are at a point in your day and you're thinking, man, nothing is going my way, it is such an awful day, all you need to do really is to look around and see what's around you. Maybe you're just sitting in your car. Maybe you're sitting in the office. Maybe you're sitting at home. Wherever you are, there is something. And maybe it's just you. Maybe you're in none of those places. But guess what? Maybe you have clothes on your back. Yeah. So there's something that you can look at and be grateful for. And if you're hanging out and you're naked and you're not anywhere, well, at least you're alive. So there is something, some rabbit hole of gratitude that you can go down. So certainly looking around is one approach. Today, we're going to dig into other ways that you can find gratitude that get you thinking a little bit more, because there's lots of ways that we can find gratitude. And yes, it is opening your eye during prayer and listing everything that you see on the table, but it's also a lot of other things. So let's get rocking and rolling. What brings a smile to your face? Have you ever stopped to think about what really makes me happy? I know for me, my cat comes to mind. I love in the morning, I get my little kisses from her. I will not get up out of the bed. We will not go get breakfast. We won't do anything until I get my little kisses. And she knows. And all I have to do is stick my face out and I'll get my kisses, and then I'll pet her or get up or whatever that may be. And that's our little routine every morning, and it makes me so happy. There are lots of things that make me happy. It makes me happy to be outside when the weather's nice, and it makes me happy when I get to see my family, and it makes me happy when I get to chat with my little niece. And I love when my sister uploads pictures of her, and that makes me happy. So, what are the things? Just it doesn't even have to be that deep. Just what are the things that make you happy? And think about those things. Focus on those things and start to think, why? Why do these things make me happy? And go down rabbit holes with them, because when you start to dig deep, outside of the surface, when you start to really, I mean, how do you get to know somebody, right? You've got to dig deep. You don't just say, hey, how you doing today? Oh, I'm great. Yeah. Like, you don't know anything about that person. You've got to ask those questions. You've got to, where do you come from? What do you like to do? I mean, think about somebody you're in a relationship with. You get to know them on a deeper level. So you've got to go further than just the surface to really appreciate something and get to know them. So when you're thinking about what makes me happy, go down rabbit holes. Why does it make me happy? What kind of feelings does it give me? And start to become curious about whatever that thing is that makes you happy. Get curious about your life. All right. So that's one. So it's always a good practice, and you will hear this with different coaches, and it doesn't matter if you're in 12 step or if it's a life coach. Often you will hear them tell you, write down a list, because sometimes it's so much easier for us to see it on paper or on a list in our phone or whatever. You scribbled it on the fridge, put it on a bunch of post-it notes. When we see things, it can be a reminder to us. So think about those things that are happy. And I'd also encourage you to write them down, because then when you're having one of those moments and you're thinking, oh my gosh, nothing is going my way, everybody hates me, this world is against me, I can never do anything right, or whatever kind of negativity hole you've just fell into, because all of those are untrue. We could myth bust all of those, but sometimes we do get into those modes of just woe is me, and we want to sit here in our negative feelings. And the only way that we're going to be able to pull ourselves out of them is to put positivity in our space, because that's going to polarize the negativity away. So when you start to then, when you get out of this, woe is me, nothing goes my way, nobody likes me, blah, 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 and we start to point ourselves towards positivity, it's going to push these other feelings away. But it's a decision that you have to make. And when you have a list and you're able to just pull it out, sometimes when you're in those negative spaces and you're like, there is nothing that makes me happy, there is nothing that's good in my life, there is nothing. Well, you can just pull out your little list and say, aha, I was waiting for this moment. And I know that there are things that are better in my life, and things that I'm grateful for and that make me happy, and all of the things. And here it is to prove. So consider writing these things down as you are going through the what makes me happy list. All right. What are the things that you truly appreciate? Not just that make you happy, but what are the things that you appreciate about your life? I mean, as I look around, I really appreciate the fact that there's heat. I'm sitting on a little heater right now and it's making my feet and my legs really warm. And I appreciate that technology. I don't turn my AC and my heat on very often. And so, it can be very cold in my house, or it can be very hot. And that's just how I keep it. But then in the summer, when I have the fan blowing on me and it's that nice cool air, I'm like, oh, I appreciate this fan. And right now it's a little chilly in where I'm at. And it's nice and warm by my feet. So I appreciate this thing. So, what are the things that you appreciate in your space? And maybe you appreciate the fact that you have a vehicle. Maybe you appreciate the fact that, you have friends. You appreciate the fact that you have family that stands by you. You appreciate the fact that you have a vehicle that gets you from A to B. It might not be the best vehicle ever. It might even not always be reliable, but you have a vehicle. So, what is it that you appreciate about your life? The things that you have, the people that are in them. And maybe it's decisions. I appreciate when I made this decision to put me first. I appreciate the decision to do some level of self care on the weekend. I appreciate that I've added exercise into my life. I appreciate that. And just go down more rabbit holes. Start writing those things down. What are the things that make you happy? What are the things that you appreciate? You might not like your job, but you can appreciate it. You can appreciate the fact that you get a paycheck every other week, or whatever frequency that is for you. You can appreciate that you're able to put food on the table. You can appreciate that you're able to pay your bills. Just keep going. What else do you appreciate? And write these things down. So, what makes you happy? What are things that you appreciate? What about some things that you own that make your life easier? Have you ever stopped to think about that? A computer. A computer makes your life easier. A smartphone makes your life easier. And when my dad finally ever decides to use one, he'll figure that out. Um, I don't know. A TV may make your life easier in some respects when you're trying to do certain things. I don't know. My TV, I can get YouTube, and I can like do things because it's a smart TV, and I can use it almost like a computer because it's hooked to the Wi-Fi. And man, There are lots of things that make my life a backpack makes my life easier. I don't have a vehicle. I sold my vehicle a few years ago, well, over 2 years ago at this point. And so a lot of times I go grocery shopping, and for me to carry all the grocery shopping bags, although I do appreciate the bags, because if I didn't have the bags, that would be really difficult to bring stuff home. But if I just carried the bags, that's certainly different than just putting them in my backpack. So I appreciate my backpack because it makes my life easier. It's easier than carrying the bags, but the bags are make it easier than carrying all the things. So there are lots of things that make my life easier. Carrying a purse or carrying a wristlet or, you know, wearing clothes, I suppose. That makes my life easier because then you don't see my jelly rolls. I don't know. Lots of things. So think about what are the things that make your life easier. All right. What are personality traits that you have about yourself that you appreciate? Have you ever stopped to think about your own personality? I mean, I am grateful that I'm able to connect with just about everybody. I have yet to meet somebody that I haven't been able to connect with on some level. And usually it's a deep level because I have been able to travel so much and I've experienced so many different things that I'm relatable on a lot of different levels. And I love that about my personality. Now, that doesn't mean that I want to engage in a conversation with everybody. I certainly have some people that come to mind that, sure, I can connect with them, but they're super negative, they're toxic, like they're just not my people. So I'm, even though, yes, I can connect with them, it doesn't mean that I have to. But I appreciate that about my personality, that I'm able to connect on a different level than a lot of people and with a lot of very interesting individuals. And I appreciate that, I don't really judge. I'm just, my mind is pretty much open. And when I hear things, I don't go into this state of, oh my gosh, I'm so shocked. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of desensitized from that. I've seen so much. I've been a part of so much. I've just read so much. I've seen, all these things. And so I appreciate that I'm accepting of, people and places and cultures. And again, it doesn't mean that just because I accept them that I need to go hang around them, but I am pretty open-minded, I would say. There are times where I probably catch myself and I think, okay, I could be more open-minded, but I like that about myself. I appreciate the fact that I'm 6'1" and I love to wear heels and I just own who I am. I appreciate that because there's a lot of people in this life that have not. I told you I'm part of this women's group and it's this tall group or whatever, the tall girl group or whatever the heck it is. And a lot of those women do not like what they look like. They don't like who they are. They don't like the stairs. They don't like any of that stuff. I appreciate the fact that I have come to accept who I am. And I love these things about myself. So, what is it about yourself, about your personality, about your traits that you appreciate and why? Maybe write some of these things down because when you go down that negativity hole, rabbit hole is a roll. When you go down that negativity rabbit hole, then you'll be able to pull these things out. What do I appreciate? What am I happy about? What do I appreciate? What do I like about myself? What do I appreciate about myself? And then wherever you are in that role, that negativity rabbit hole, wherever you are, you're going to be able to find yourself pointing in a more positive direction. We just have to train our brains where to go. And for whatever reason, it's easier for us to just, woe is me. I hate my life. Everybody sucks. Everybody hates me. This always happens to me. Yada, yada, yada. Nothing will ever go right. Yada, yada, yada. And we go down this, it's being a victim is what it is, but we go down this negativity hole and it's so hard to pull ourselves out. But when we start to focus on what we're grateful for, then those things will start to dissipate. The things that we say, oh man, I can't stand all these things. If we just focus on what we appreciate, then all this other stuff starts to fizzle away. So, as you go out in the world today, start to show up powerfully in your own life by saying, you know what? I'm going to have an attitude of gratitude. That is how you are going to find your power. So, start to write that list. Think of the things that you appreciate, that you are grateful for, the things that you like about yourself, things that make you happy. Write them down so that you have something to reference when you're down your role. Okay, we're going to end there. If you've not yet hit that like button, if you've not yet hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do so now, because this is going to help the algorithm to reach more people, and somebody needs to hear this today, and you can help them hear this message. All right, I will see you back here, same time, same place tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. Go be powerful, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Cheers.